Hey, Andy here from builderhottub.com. In this video, I'm going to look at the 7 DIY hot tub mistakes you want to avoid. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so when I built my hot tub, which seems an absolute lifetime ago, I made pretty much every mistake that you could possibly think of. So I always say to my customers that I feel very well qualified to advise you on what not to do when you're building your own DIY hot tub. So in this video, I'm going to focus on 7 mistakes that you want to avoid. Now, before I get going, always a great opportunity to say please do subscribe to the channel. It gives me loads of motivation to make these videos, which I make every single week. I do 2 long form videos, which is videos like this, and a whole bunch of shorts as well. Everything I do on this channel focuses on DIY hot tubs, plunge pools, and pretty much everything in between. Now, the first mistake that you want to avoid is to do with size, and you really want to avoid going too big. So what really is too big? Well, if we backtrack to when I was building my own, I had these whole big ideas of grandeur about this huge tub that I was going to build, and when I was talking to poolman John, he was basically explaining to me that I was going to max out the heater, I was going to max out the particular pump that I wanted to use, and everything after you go over a certain size, it just gets more expensive. So if you've got too big of a hot tub, it's going to cost you more to run, it's going to cost you more for the kit. So you really only want to build the size of hot tub that you actually need. So you should work out, how many people you think are going to use it, or how much space you want for each of the people that you think with a maximum number of people. Just, don't go too big just for the sake of going big. You can actually save yourself some money on the components and the build cost, but more importantly, the actual running cost of the hot tub. If you drop the size down to what you actually need, it'll save you some money in your pocket. Now, the next mistake you should be avoiding when you're building a DIY hot tub is space. So what do I mean by space? Well, not the space for the hot tub itself. Everybody can work out how much space they actually have for the hot tub. However, quite often forgotten is the space that you need firstly for the control room. Now, the control room is a pet project of mine. I talk about it a lot on this channel, a lot on my blog. When I designed my own control room, I didn't leave enough space. It was way too small. Yes, I could fit the parts in, but what I couldn't do was plumb it all together. There just wasn't enough room. So I actually remodeled and made it much bigger. It made my life so much easier. So when you're thinking about your control room, leave more space than you actually need. It will make your own life so much easier when you come to service your parts or change your filter. Even making the plumbing joints inside of a larger area is just so much easier. So don't forget the amount of space that you're going to need for your control room, and the amount of space that you need is going to depend on your actual plumbing setup as well. So you're going to need more space obviously if you've got more than one pump, that kind of a thing. So just bear that in mind, add it all together and try and come up with a larger than you require, if available of course, space for your control room. Now, the next thing that people forget is what are you going to do with the cover when you're actually in the tub. It may seem somewhat of a silly thought here. However, these covers are quite big, they're quite heavy, you don't want to be lugging them around, you don't want to be leaving them on your lawn, for example. So where are you going to put it when you're actually in the tub? You've got to leave space for it somewhere. So for example, on my own tub, it's a 3-piece cover. The first part actually lifts off and that goes nicely up against the fence on the deck. And then the other 2 parts, they fold together and that slides up vertically behind the tub. So I left enough space at the back of the tub to enable the cover to stack. So space is important, not only for the tub itself. Don't forget the space for the control room, and don't forget the space you're going to need to store that cover when you're actually in the tub. Mistake number 3 that you want to avoid when you're building a DIY hot tub is around planning. Now, I think the phrase goes something like fail to plan and plan to fail. Well, it's definitely true. You wouldn't believe the amount of projects that I get brought into at a later stage that have either failing or not going right, or they've just got stuck and don't know where to go, All this relates to the planning. Now, if you plan correctly, your build will go much easier. You will save yourself time, you will save yourself money. So please plan correctly, have a full design that you're going to work to. Don't just go off a half-hearted idea. The planning is definitely something I can help you with. I'll put a link underneath this video to some of the plans that I have on my site already. There's loads of information there. There's everything that you need inside of them. So if you don't know where to start, jump in and have a look at one of those, and it will certainly get you off to a great start with your own project. The fourth mistake that you want to avoid, and this is my favorite, probably because it cost me the most amount of money, is do not, under any circumstances, plug a swimming pool light into your spa pack, okay? Now, there is a socket on a spa pack that is marked light. It is not normally 12 volts. It might be AC, depending on the pack that you have. It could even be a DC. If it's 12 volt DC, then it is designed for LED lighting. However, you must check the maximum amount of amps that particular socket is able to deliver. Now, on my own build, I didn't check that. So I saw it was a 12 volt AC and I plugged in a 12 volt AC swimming pool light, not realizing that it was drawing about 4 times the amount of current that particular socket could actually deliver. What was the result? Well, I was actually frying the circuit boards. Now, this became somewhat of an expensive hobby because those circuit boards were about 350 bucks to replace, and I went through 3. Now, I was able to claim some back under RMA. Thank you, poor man John. However, it did cost me in the wallet because I didn't read the manual and I didn't check the current draw on those sockets. So I always say, do not, under any circumstance, plug in a swimming pool light into your spa pack. However, I have created a connection kit. So out of this disaster that really upset me at the time because I was all ready to get in for the first use, turned everything on, it heated up because I didn't have any lights on. I didn't know what the problem was. I turned everything on and then the electricity went, everything went down. You can imagine I was not best pleased. So what I've subsequently developed is a connection kit. It actually comes with my own DIY hot tub light, and I'll put a link to that again underneath the video, but it can be used with any other light as well. So if you are wanting to use a swimming pool light, which I do recommend for your DIY hot tubs, because the hot tub lights tend to be quite small and dainty and they're not really powerful enough to light everything up. So you do want a swimming pool light in there, but you do need a connection kit to make it work. So I'll put a link to that underneath this video as well. So that was tip number 4 for mistakes to avoid. Number 5, the 5th mistake that you want to avoid when you're building a DIY hot tub is all around the electrics. So the electrics can be one of the more complicated parts, and especially over in the US where we actually need to use 230 volts, which isn't the norm. Most things are 110, 115. So hot tub parts all need, I'm generalizing here, they all need 230 volts. So you get that from your split system. An electrician will be able to sort that for you. However, not all of the kit out of the box is configured to run on 230 volts. So you've got to read the manual. I mean, I'm personally averse to reading manuals, but I'm here on the channel saying, read the manual, read the manual. It really is important, because if you have a 230 volt feed into a system that's set up for 115 volts, you can imagine the problem. Now, if you go conversely and it's set for 230 and you're only delivering 115, the amount of current that those devices are going to draw is going to be double. It's going to be really high and it's going to be quite dangerous. So, pumps will overheat in seconds, that kind of thing. So you've got to check that you've got the right voltage coming into your kit. You've got to have all of the kit that matches the voltage. So when you're connecting a jet pump to a spa pack, if the spa pack is 230 volts, the jet pump should be 230 volts. So you've got to make sure all the kit matches, and that's certainly something I can help you with. That's no problem. And on the same subject, make sure that your spa pack is configured for the kit that you've got connected. Don't assume that it's just going to work out of the box. They very rarely do. So what do I mean by this? Well, if you've got a circulation pump and you've got a single speed jet pump and a blower, you actually need to tell the spa pack that that's what's connected. It doesn't know. So out of the box, it might be configured for just a dual speed pump, for example. So back to my example, if you have that circulation pump, the single speed jet pump and a blower in there, but it's only configured for a dual speed pump, it's not going to work. It's just not going to perform how you expect it to when you press the buttons. So don't assume that the spa pack is going to be configured out of the box for the kit that you're going to connect to it. Read the manual, check it out. If you need some help, get in touch, but you are going to need to configure that pack for the kit that you are plugging into it. Mistake number 6 that you definitely want to avoid is down to heating. Now, the heating, certainly in years gone by, it used to be a case that everybody just went with electrical heating. All of the spa packs have electrical heaters inside of them, and that was kind of enough. However, in this day and age, in the energy crisis that we certainly have at the moment, electricity prices in some countries have gone through the roof. So it isn't always a case now that electric heating is the way forward for heating your hot tubs. You really do need to kind of have a good think about, firstly, how you're going to use your tub. And by that I mean, are you going to be planning to use it just at weekends, for example, or do you want the option to heat it up in a couple of hours? All of these are important factors for making the choice of the different heating options that are available for your tub. So whilst, for example, in the summer months in a lot of the states in America, you have a lot of sun, and that's great for an air source heat pump. You've got some nice warm weather there. However, conversely, you also have really cold winters, which is not so great for an air source heat pump. So if you wanted to use it 12 months of the year, then an air source heat pump isn't going to be the way forward for you. Now, I do have a deep dive video on all of the different heating options, and again, I'll put a link to that underneath this video, but you really got to think about the heating option that's going to work for you and get it right from the start, because changing later on can be problematic. And finally, number 7 of the 7 mistakes that you want to avoid when you're building a DIY hot tub is to do with time. Now, as the saying goes, Rome was not built in a day, neither was a DIY hot tub. You really need to take your time. Take your time, enjoy it, enjoy all of the process, but take care at all of the different stages. So what do I mean? Well, coming back to me as an example, I must have rushed one of the particular joints in my control room, and I was in the tub one afternoon. Suddenly everything went dead and the level of the water in the tub started to dramatically decrease. I thought that a wall had cracked or something. It wasn't that. It was actually a pipe had come off in the control room. So after I drained the water, I went back, I had a look, and it was actually a dry joint. So I'd obviously been rushing at the plumbing stage. I'd put this particular joint on without any PVC pipe cement. So that was a time bomb just waiting to go off. And what was the result? It cost me in the wallet. It cost me a new pump because I'd submerged my pump rusted up and it started to short. It was no good. So please, please, please don't make the mistakes that I did. Take your time, enjoy the building as well as the using of the DIY hot tub. And to give you an idea, most of my customers, their builds are between 10 and 12 weeks in total. Now, how long is it going to take is always a how long's a piece of string question. It's how much time have you got available, how many of you are doing it. Just as a rule of thumb, an average across my customer base, it's around 10 to 12 weeks to actually build your DIY hot tub. So there we have it. There are 7 mistakes that you want to avoid when you're building your own DIY hot tub. As you can see, I made quite a few of them myself. Don't make them yourself. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hope you've enjoyed this short video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video. If you've liked this video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next video.